All right, so everybody has the code. Again, quickly attendance is 9548. All right, and we're covering 3-4 today. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up this guy. And we're going to be covering actually inequalities today. We've covered equations the other day, and now we're going to cover inequalities today. It's kind of like the complement to it. They're very much handled the same way. And we just go ahead and apply a different rule, okay? And that is, if you ever have to multiply or divide by inequality with a negative in inequalities, then you have to switch the inequality symbol. So that's the gist of what's going on with this. So last time we were together and we dealt with fractions, I kind of told you a simple way of doing it. And that was, all you got to do is multiply by the denominator to both sides. Let me get a pen. All right. Now, once we do that, this will go away. All right. Now we're left with this. Now we have to go ahead and multiply. Since we're multiplying, excuse me, we have to divide both sides by -10. And since we have to divide by -10, we're going to switch the inequality sign on that. All right. That's the key thing. And then now, as far as the value here is concerned, all we got to do is move the decimal point over one time and we get 4.2. So our answer is U is less than. So we're going to put U is less than 4.2. All right, without the decimal point. Okay. Simplify your answer as much as possible. Okay, so they want just to go ahead and put it as a fraction. All right, so I'm going to put it as a fraction. So it doesn't say that, but it does, I guess. All right, so 42, we could divide by 2 in both of these. So that's going to give us 21 over 5, and that's negative. So we're going to put negative. All right, negative 21 over 5. All right, so that's what they wanted us to do there. All right. So it's a concept of making sure to remember to switch to inequality symbols when you're dividing or multiplying by negatives. Now, in this case, all you're doing is dividing both sides by 7. All right, and then that gives us the value of 9. So really, it's a simple process you can actually complete rather quickly. Now, you want to make sure you keep the inequality if you're dividing by or multiplying by a positive value. Don't switch the inequality then. All right, so these are just examples that you're given. So this, you divide both sides by 8. So we're going to get the inequality staying the same. So we're going to have v equaling 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and do what we did last week, not last week, but the week before, with 3. We're going to go ahead and subtract 14 from both sides here. So subtracting 14 from -6 gives us -20. Now notice how I do not switch the inequality symbol. I just leave it as what it is when I'm subtracting or adding actually to both sides. I don't change the inequality symbol. So I'm going to go ahead and put -20. Now, some students get confused that if they see a negative answer, they would switch to inequality symbol. Don't do that. All right, that's a mistake a lot of students make. All right, so we're subtracting 5 from both sides, and I'm going to leave the inequality symbol as I see it. So it's less than or equal to. So it's y, and then subtracting 5 from 16 gives us 11. If I'm going too fast or there's something you don't understand, let me know, please. It's pretty easy. I mean, it's just subtracting and adding, in my opinion. Sometimes dividing and multiplying can be a little bit more difficult. Now, when it comes down to inequalities here, let's go ahead and look at this from a perspective of graphing now. We put an open circle when it's a less than or greater than symbol. So at the value of indication, which is indicating a -3, I'm going to put an open circle at that value. And then I'm going to go ahead and look at the inequality and see that what direction it's pointing. It's pointing to the right. So I want my arrow to point to the right as well. All right. So make sure that the variable, if you're going to practice the procedure, make sure your arrow or your variable is on the left side if you're going to practice that. In order to say, hey, the arrow is pointing to the right, then I'm going to go to the right. If your variable is on the other side, on the right side, and not on the left side, then you're going to go ahead and have to switch it. And when you do switch it, if you have to switch it, say for example, it looked like this, right? You go ahead and switch it. Well, the inequality was switched as well. So just so you can understand that, you can't think, because if the number is on the right side or left side, you can't think that, oh, it's pointing to the left, because the variable is not on the left. The variable has to be on the left side in order to practice this concept of the way that inequality is directed. So right now it's an equal sign underneath of it. So if it's equal, because less than or equal to, then you're going to put a solid circle at the value of indication. So here we're going to put a solid circle at -8. And then it's pointing to the right, or excuse me, to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and put it to the left. Got to know my left and right. So open circle at 6, pointing to the left, done. Closed circle at 8, pointing to the right. It moves quick. If you're stuck on something, let me know so I can go ahead and address it. But now the temperature inside the lab refrigerator is less than 35 degrees. Use T, so T is less than, all right? So T, the temperature is less than 35. The cargo truck weighs more than 2,070 or 2,700 pounds, excuse me. So more than is, whoops, gotta get right in the right box. Okay, here we go. It's more than, so the weight is more than 2,700. All right. Let me make sure I read it right. Inside the refrigerator, less than 35. That is correct. I mean, answer box. Okay, the cargo truck weighs. Oh, see my reading. I didn't read no more than. So it says it's no more than. So it's less than or equal to. So I'm going to correct that. It's less than or equal to. See, I didn't even read no more. All I read was the cargo truck weighs more than And I don't know why I didn't read no, but hey, I got it wrong. That's legit. I got it wrong. So you got to be careful here. Even your instructor can make mistakes when reading. So it's all about reading. The vehicle's fuel efficiency is no less than 30 miles per gallon. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and read no less. All right, no less than. So it's greater than or equal to. All right, so because that's it's saying is no less than 30 miles. So that's the minimum it could be. So it's going to be where the fuel efficiency is greater than or equal to 30 miles per gallon. All right. To ride a roller coaster, a visitor must be taller than 50 inches. So the height of the person, must be taller than 50 inches. Now we write the inequality. X is less than, so let's go ahead and put X. X is less than or equal to, so less than or equal to is right here. Less than or equal to 9, but it says 9 and, okay, so 9. And greater than or equal to 5. Well, if it's greater than or equal to 5, then I'm going to, unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to do a compound inequality like that. So this is a way of saying that. Now, here, let me write that down, though, because that's probably going to get you a little bit upset. Here, when we look at it, we could say X is less than or equal to 9 and greater than or equal to 5. When you have a situation like this, okay, you can go ahead and look at it as combining these two x's together as one and putting this and flipping it. In other words, write it this way. So that way you can go ahead and just write this part down here. Now you're probably thinking, could I write it where I have it separated? Now, it says use X only once in your inequality. So it doesn't want us to write it twice. It wants us to write it once. So that's why they're asking us to do a compound inequality. All right, so yeah, it's a little bit more complicated. That one, I would understand you being a little confused on that one. You got to practice. Now solve the inequality. All right, now solving this, we just go ahead and subtract. Since we're subtracting 13, we're going to add 13 to both sides. So 29 plus 13 because it's 42. Okay. Now 42 is less or is greater than or equal to 3v. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. 3 goes into 4 one time. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So our answer is 14. But now I'm going to go ahead and switch the inequality symbol and put the v on the left side. So you're probably thinking, okay, this is the answer we get right here. Hopefully you got this. And then you'd understand why I put it that way. Okay, all I did was switch the inequality symbol. So, well, along with moving the v too. So I'm going to put v. I always like to have it where my v is first. Now, I'll get it right if I put it v, but you'll get it right if you put this answer too. I'm trying to give you good habits, but this actual answer will work if you put this answer in. It's not best to leave the inequality where the v or the variable is on the right side. I'm trying to give you good practice. That's why this is a better answer. All right. And in this case right here, I'm going to go ahead and do what I've told you. I'm going to go ahead and make sure the v is on the left side. Now, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 15 from both sides. Well, if I subtracted 10 from 80, it's 70. Subtract another 5 points, it's 65. So 65. Now dividing both sides by 5, I'm going to get 13. Because you know that 12 times 5 is 60, right? So that must mean it's 13. So this is what we get. 13 is less than or equal to V. I don't want it this way. I want it this way. See, now the V is pointing this direction, right? Now it's going to point this direction because I'm switching it. And then I put the 13 on this side. I don't switch signs. I don't switch the signs of the V or anything. I'm just kind of twisting it around. So don't play games with the signs of the values. So now I have V is greater than or equal to 13. All right, now doing this one. There's a negative sign in here, so we're going to do some switching of the signs, and I can assure you that. So we're going to go ahead and add 1 to both sides. Now we're going to divide both sides by -4. Because we're dividing by -4, this is what's going to prompt the switching of the sign, and then we get -6. So W, less than symbol, -6. All right, and we continue this little charade. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 7 from both sides. Now notice how there was a 7 and -6. It was this way, right? And I said, let's go ahead and subtract 7 from both sides. I'm subtracting 7 because this is a +7. I'm not going to go ahead and add 7 because there's a negative sign here. That negative sign belongs to the 6, not to the 7. So that's why I subtract 7 from both sides. Subtracting 7 from both sides, I'm going to get 24. All right, I forgot to put the inequalities on. Now I'm going to divide both sides by -6. That's going to give me V is now less than or equal to -4. Because I had to switch the inequality symbol because I'm dividing by -6. So now I look at that symbol and I find it here, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in the V, and then -4. All right, must have made a mistake here. Let me see. It's negative. Okay, yeah. It's a negative divided by negative is positive. All right. My symbol got lost there. Make sure you're careful with the signs that you saw that I just made a mistake on the signs because everything was too squished together. Writing makes a big impact on performance, by the way. And that's why I messed that up because I'm being a little sloppy. Now you get into this, right? And then it's like, it says, this one's a little complicated for some students. So I'm going to go ahead and full screen this one and let's have a conversation about it. First of all, it gives you a scenario, and then her goal is given by this inequality, where X is the number of minutes she pumps water into the tank. Now, you solve the given inequality. Now, solving this inequality, we're going to go ahead and add 12 to both sides, all right? And you can go ahead and punch that into your calculator. And I mean, you don't need to go ahead and get too particular about it. Go ahead and do 90 plus 12, right, hit equal, divide key, 17. And you have 6. All right. So what that ultimately means is x is less than or equal to 6. Now, what does that mean? What does x mean? It's the number of minutes, all right, where x is the number of minutes she pumps water into the tank. So basically, it's going to take 6 minutes for this tank to reach 90 liters of water. Because you want the water to be less than or equal to 90. You don't want it to be overflowing, all right, the tank. I mean, even at 90, it's a little aggressive. All right. So we're going to go ahead and say 6. And we want that to be the time to be less than or equal to 6. So we're going to point in that direction and equal to 6. All right. Now, to meet the goal of the tank, the tank will have at most blank liters of water in it. So that's 90 liters of water. And it will take at least 6 minutes. All right. At most 6 minutes. Because we don't want it to go, more. I mean, that's the maximum amount of time we want is 6 minutes. We don't want to be making it. If we say at least 6 minutes, then we're going to say, well, we could put 10 minutes worth of time in it. Well, 10 minutes would keep on overflowing the tank. So we don't want to be over 10 minutes or over 6 minutes. We want to be at most 6 minutes. So to meet the goal, the tank will have at most 90 liters of water in it, right? Because that's what we're saying here, in it. And this will take at most 6 minutes. And this is all about reading and understanding what you're reading, and then, making sense out of what you're reading. This is difficult for a lot of students, so make sure that you're taking time with it. All right, now, here we're going to go ahead. I mean, you don't need to go ahead and get so worked up about the solving it. Just all you got to do is take your 254 and then minus 34 and then divide by 11. And so you get 20. So you write that down. So it's going to be x, and the inequality doesn't change, by the way, because we're not dividing or anything by a negative or anything like that. So we just go ahead and punch in our calculator like I did, and then just write our answer down. So x is less than 20. So let's make sure we understand what that means. This says Mary is pumping water into an aquarium. This seems like a tank again. All right. So the aquarium has 254 liters of water in it, where x is the number of minutes she's pumping the water into the aquarium, where she's pumping 11 liters of water into the tank at one given time. So this one is, you don't want it to be over 254 liters this time. You don't want the tank to be completely full. So we're going to be less than or equal to 20 minutes. All right, less than 20 minutes, not less than or equal to. All right, we definitely want that to be less than, because we do not want the tank to overflow. This is an aquarium, right? So we want it to be less than 254 liters. So to meet the goal, the aquarium will have less than 254 liters. That's true. We want it to be less than. And this will take more than 20 minutes. Nope, it'll take less than 20 minutes. So we want to meet the goal, the aquarium will have less than 254 liters. And this will take less than 20 minutes. All right. Like I said, this takes a little bit of time to get used to. We got to make sure we make sense of what it is that we're talking about. All right, now solve the inequality for W. So we're going to go ahead and solve the W. All right, now let me go ahead and put my screen on. So I'm going to bring this over to here. We're going to go ahead. Well, I could actually bring this over to here. That's okay to do that as well. If I go ahead and add 8w to both sides, that'll give me a positive 6, right, when I bring those together. And then I'm going to subtract 21 from both sides. Okay. So now, if I subtract 9 from 21, I get 12. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to get negative 12. And then I'm going to have this as 6w. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 6. And then that leaves me with this. Now, unfortunately, I can leave it like that if I desire. I can leave it like this, or I could put it the way I care to put it, and that is this way. And that's the way I'm going to put it. All right. So I have the answer I prefer to put in there. So W is less than or equal to negative 2. All right, and here comes the last one. Now, the thing is, again, I like to keep my leading coefficient to the variable positive, so that's why I'm going to add 3x to both sides. And that's why I'm going to get 7x. And simultaneously, I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. And I'm going to get 56. Dividing both sides by 7, I'm going to get negative 8. And while I can put the answer that way, I can switch it too. So I'm going to say to you, I'm going to keep it this answer, negative 8 less than symbol x. But again, I'm trying to give you good practice that you put the variable on the left side, not on the right side. Although they'll accept the answer because it's not incorrect, it is just more appropriate or easier to understand it. So when you say the variable and the inequality and then the number. And that is the 20 questions I wanted to review with you. And now I ask you, do you have any questions? All right, well, in that case then, if you don't have any questions, I'm going to stop the recording.